after we've secured our polytunnel. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. This is Mecca. Come with me. We're going to spend a whole day, well, maybe just 3 hours at the allotment today. We have a lot of fun things to do, so you would like to watch this one. We're putting up our polytunnel, we're planting out some things, and yeah, all in all, we're just gonna spend some hard working sweaty time at the allotment and be productive. It's been a long while. I have been so busy with work. I haven't had enough time to spend at the allotment like I normally would. So I've got the whole crew with me. Guys, say hello. Where's Hubby?
Hola.
Oh, it's not getting his face. Let's get the face. Say hi.
If you know where we're going to, this high is not.
He's doing the main physical job because he's been off for a long time, so I need him to work. Anyway, the boys as well, they got to do some work and they're like, are we getting paid? So guys, how much do you pay your children for helping out at the allotment? And should you really even pay your children? That's the other question. Anyway, let's go together. Okay, so we are here now and the boys are already at work. I've got Aaron there. He's getting rid of all the strands from the beans from last year. We didn't clear this. We should ideally have done this last year, but it just didn't happen. We still have a few pods that are rotted and moldy here. The bamboo canes have been here for, this is the 3rd year now. So after this year, I think I'll change the whole bamboo lot. And Ryan, on the other hand, is getting rid of all the extra runners around the strawberries. And we have a strawberry flower. Isn't that amazing? Strawberry is already in flower. It's a lot of work to do. I'm just going to show you guys as much as I can, okay? Someone is mowing the lawn, so I hope you can hear me. This is the main job for today. Hubby is going to replace the polytunnel cover. We took the cover out over winter. The cold temperatures can actually break or damage the cover because this is a blow-away polytunnel. So we take it off over winter. The first 2 years we didn't, and we ended up having to change it. So this year we decided to take it off. So we're going to build trenches all the way across outside the polytunnel, and that would help bury the skirt of the cover. First job for me is I need to put some onions in. I don't know how bad this noise will be, the lawn mowing. So I'm gonna put these onions. These onion seedlings are from my own saved seeds. So I want to put them in this bed. But I need to get rid of the weeds. There's a few weeds I need to get rid of here. Just gonna hand weed them. We also have some beetroots that self-seeded from last year. So I would leave the beetroots in because I don't know what they'll give us. I'll leave them in for now, but then I'll plant the onions around, okay? I'm going to wet here before I plant the onions because I want the soil to be moist. It's been really dry. So I've taken out all the weeds I will take out. And now the onions will be ready to go in. Onions were planted in January and they have a nice root system. They'll be multi-sown. This is the easiest way to plant onions. If you want to grow onions a lot, the easiest way to plant them is through seeds. And these were my own home saved seeds. You can multi-sow your onions by planting more than one in a hole. So I'm going to put 2. That's how I'm going to multi-sow them. 2 in one planting hole. And it doesn't matter if the roots get trimmed a bit, it will be fine. So guys, we have put the onions in. It looks all floppy now, but nothing to worry about. This is normal. When you first put onions in, they would normally be floppy. It takes time for them to get stronger and they will stand up. I have trimmed them. I trimmed them a couple weeks ago, so they are not as floppy as they would have been, but I could have trimmed them more, but it's okay. And the next thing I do, and you should do after planting anything, is to actually give them a water. I have my homemade feed I make. I have videos, hopefully share. So I'm just going to put a little bit of feed in there, just a tiny amount. And I'm just going to gently water it. Remember, we wet this bed before we actually put the onions in. So we're just going to water it in with a little bit of feed. It's got seaweed and stuff in it, so that would help strengthen the onions. I find seaweed a really good boost when you transplant things. It prevents transplant shock. So if you've never tried it, try adding seaweed to your feeds when you make your plant feeds, okay? Next, we'll go and see what the boys have been up to, if they have started putting the polytunnel cover up. Boys have got me 2 wheelbarrows of horse manure. So the horse manure goes into our compost heap and we mix it with food scrap. That is how we make our compost for our beds. And let me show you what we've done over the winter. So this bed and that bed has been covered with our homemade compost. That is something I'm really always grateful for. We make our compost. So let's see what the boys are up to. They are faffing around as usual. Hi boys. Hubby has dug trenches all across. Babe, it doesn't look quite deep though. Anyway, so they're about to put the blow away cover up. This was used last year and it's still fine. We didn't wash it or anything, so they're gonna reuse it. Should I come over that side? Hang on. Polytunnel is almost ready.
Yeah, come,
boys, come. Everyone needs to be in here now.
Yeah.
You secure the edges. So this is very important, guys. You have to secure the straps in first so that it's aligned with the frame before you even start to secure it outside. Oh, I'm so happy to have the polytunnel. I'm so happy. Once the polytunnel is up, it means we are in business. We are in business. Business.
Where's the thermometer, Mommy?
The thermometer is at home. We'll get it in later. I know people frown on plastic, but when you are growing in this sort of climate, you do need some sort of adaptations to ensure you can grow. Like my heat-loving crops peppers will be so happy in here. Anyway, I've got a lot of work to do. My onions are not yet done. I need to go keep planting that, and I also want to trial a few things, and I'll show you as we get along. Onions are in, and the cover is gonna go up next. Yes, I left beetroot here and a few random broad beans that survived the winter, but that's okay. We are gonna be covering the skirt of the polytunnel with soil. The soil keeps it taut, so we need to make sure this plastic here is straightened as much as we can. That is the best way to secure your polytunnel, especially these blow away ones. So make sure you bury the skirt in soil. It has been buried nicely here, and we are yet to bury this end. This end will be buried last. We bury the edges. And we also put this pole. So if you have any heavy weights, those heavy weights like we have here, we'll put on the side, and that will just help secure it further, because when we have really gusty winds, we want to make sure this polytunnel stays in place, and that is how we do it, okay? I need to pick these flowers. They're all edible. Now we are in the polytunnel, and I want to do a sort of hardening of experiment. So these peppers have been indoors. I planted them in the month of January, and they're looking quite good. They haven't started to bud or anything. These are sweet peppers. So I want to put them out here in the polytunnel. It's more like a trial. The polytunnel can still have frost, and because we still have frosty nights, it's important to be sort of cautious when you put things like this out. So I'm going to do 2 peppers and see how they cope with the cold nights, and then after about a couple of weeks we'll see if the rest can come in here. So these plants are root bound, as you can see. People say loosen the roots when you plant. I don't bother, I just transplant. It's nice and healthy and sturdy. And so I'm just gonna make a hole. Now we topped this beds with compost, homemade compost, at the end of the season. So I'm confident that the soil is moist underneath, even despite it not being watered. As you can see, it's fairly moist. And I don't need to do anything other than just put these in. I don't need to bury them too deep. I'm happy with it just going all the way down there. That is perfectly fine for peppers, okay? It's slightly different with tomatoes, and we'll do that in the next slide. We will be planting out some tomatoes as well. Okay, so these cloches have a few tiny holes drilled into them by myself. They should hopefully keep the frost at bay, but still allow for ventilation. It's important that there is ventilation and these plants do not get like overheated, because it is warm in the poly. So I'm just going to put a block underneath it like so. The next thing I will be doing now is I will be planting, direct sowing some amaranth seeds. Now these are amaranths, self-seeded, but I want some earlier. So I have a little bed here where we sort of overwintered parsley, really nice looking there. Some amaranth seeds in here, nothing special. I'm just gonna loosen the soil a bit. Amaranth's quite heat loving, but it grows well in our climate. So this is just so that I can have it germinating early and then it will go out later on. Give it a water and that's that job done. So we're gonna go outside to do another little sort of hardening off with tomatoes, just a few, and that will come to the end of the video. Okay, this is our final job for today. I had enough now, guys. Okay, so we have these tomatoes. They look quite leggy. They were sown in the middle of March. Were they sown in the middle of March? I can't remember. So they are quite big, quite leggy, as you would expect, despite them being indoors under light. Actually, I took them out of light 3 weeks ago. So I reported them 3 weeks ago. They were put in this pot, and as you can see, they are nicely rooted and they need to go into a forever home. But the weather is still cold, so this is very important. We still have the risk of frost. Tomatoes are not tolerant of frost. They would die just at the slightest frost. But I am doing something. This is outdoors. This is not in the polytunnel, but I have things that I hopefully would keep them going. We made big holes. I like making big holes for tomatoes, because holes that are gonna literally bury them quite deep. Things like tomatoes, if you can make good holes, because tomatoes can get roots from the stem and that would make them sort of more vigorous plants. I have experienced that. So, oh, where is Hobby? Babe, I wanted Hobby to help me, but I'll do this now. So after digging the deep holes, another thing I like doing with tomatoes, it's not conventional. I put some homemade compost into the growing hole. So it's a lot of work, but I found I had really good tomato results last year doing it this way. So now I would go in with these, and there are different schools of thought. Some people say you can lay it flat, and I don't mind doing that. So I'm gonna put, you see how I've put it a bit sideways? The roots is going there and the stem is there. This way the tomatoes are not too leggy, and so they will tolerate a bit more wind because they have not been hardened off properly. On the subject of hardening of tomatoes, these tomatoes have been hardened off for about 2 weeks. So they go out during the day, not every single day because it's just life, I can't monitor them. The days I'm home, I leave them out in the sun, in the garden, and they get a bit of wind. So now I'm just gonna bury it all the way up to these leaves. Remember, I put homemade compost at the base, and now I'm just going to bury it properly. And this tomato right here is ready. I'm going to take one more leaf off. It's ready to go into the big world. So we'll do the same across the board. See that planting hole? We've got really nice warm action going on there. I've taken off the leaves, and I'm just going to lay it down and cover it up. The last one, ensure it's well saturated. It's quite moist, the soil is moist. I'm going to use these water bottles you can get from the supermarket, and we're just going to cover them. That is our security from frost. Hopefully Jack Frost will not come here. And I find using a stake when you put one of these in helps keep it in place and it doesn't fly away. Okay, guys, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've enjoyed spending time with myself and my family at the allotment. It's been a while since we last came to the allotment, so even hubby hasn't been here for weeks. Anyway, I hope to bring you more content from the allotment. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, and also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next time, I'll see you in another video. And hopefully, these tomatoes will survive this experiment. Bye bye.